that to you, ladies and gentlemen. That was an embarrassing loss. Embarrassing. And I'm just going to start by saying this. Y'all can dislike Carr, you can dislike Winston, etc. But this entire team is supposed to be built on defense. Whole team. Everything's supposed to be built around the defense. Well, defense sucked today. Like bad. Like giving up 400 yards bad. As in, the defense was awful. The defense was just trash. Like, when the offense is trash, we go, okay, well, Pete Carmichael sucks. Derek Carr's not all he's made out to be. When the defense sucks, we need to have serious conversations. Because the defense today was just awful. And there is a consistent theme with this. Mobile quarterbacks. Josh Dobbs ran for 8 carries, 44 yards, 5.5 per. Not to mention what he did in the air. And I'm not calling Josh Dobbs a backup quarterback. He did start for Arizona. They traded for him. More power to it. I'm not hating on him. This is not a Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota's a winning team. I think at the core, the big thing for Minnesota is they were a better coached team. Truly, that's what I believe. I believe Minnesota is a better coached team than what New Orleans has. But beyond even the coaching side of things, this defense is supposed to be top tier. Defensive line, no sacks. Right? Now, look, I give credit to when they won last week, but sadly, you're not going to play a Bears team every week. Who did beat Carolina? Shout out to Chicago. Tampa Bay beat Tennessee. Arizona currently beating Atlanta. But the New Orleans Saints came in for the first month of the season as a top 5 statistical defense. And they are creeping lower and lower. And leaving this week, they're actually going to drop into around the 10 range. They are starting to struggle. And the issues with this defense are obvious issues. And the reason I'm harping so much on this, look, I'm not about to go hate on Derek Carr. And I'm not about to go hate on Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston did exactly what he always does. He's aggressive. He's one of the most aggressive gunslingers the league has had in the past 15, 20 years. He is what he is. If Sean Payton were still here, and I've always said this, I really would have loved to have seen Sean Payton just get a chance with a healthy Jameis and just see what he could do with that gunslinger. But that is what it is. Derek Carr, more conservative West Coast guy. He's going to be more efficient, but he's not going to be flashy. If you could combine the two, you might have a damn decent quarterback. Now, Timekeeper says, give me Winston. Don't give me Winston, especially with this defense how it's playing right now, because what you're going to remember, Jameis Winston had 2 interceptions. That doesn't include 2 other ones that were either dropped or had an issue that prevented them from being interceptions. So I definitely don't want Jameis Winston starting, but also it's very clear Derek Carr, there is such a list of issues. But even then, I don't really care. I don't give a damn about the offensive issues. I give a damn about the defense. I give that TJ Hawkinson has 11 catches for 134 yards and a tutty. Like, you knew that he was going to be the primary threat. You didn't worry about it. You knew that Josh Dobbs was going to run the ball on you, and you came into the first half not caring. And we talk about this being a team that adjusts very well. They did technically adjust. They only allowed a field goal in the second half. But in the entirety of that, they allowed 24 points in the first half. Ridiculous. 3 drives straight of touchdowns. The first drive, solid. First drive, solid. But if you're the New Orleans Saints offense, you've still got the problem with Pete Carmichael. You still got the problem with Carr not being a top 10 guy. Jameis Winston being a great backup, but probably somewhere in the range of Carr. Defense has got to win the damn football games. And it's a consistent issue. And I'm not taking shots at Josh Dobbs here. I think that he's a quality young guy who's growing and developing. When I'm sitting here looking at the Saints, I'm seeing such consistent issues. This is why I wanted the New Orleans Saints to trade for a pass rusher. You cannot tell me right now that Montez Sweat or Chase Young would not have helped change this game. You can't. That's why I really don't give a damn what anybody's opinion about the offensive side of the ball is. Because The offense is the offense. I never had expectations for the offense to be top 10, ever. Not once, not a single time. But the defense can't simply do this. Like, this is unacceptable. This is a defensive first team. This would be like me getting pissed off at Bobby Hebert if the Dome Patrol gave up 30 points. Bobby Hebert is Bobby freaking Hebert, okay? The defense is supposed to be what's leading this team, dominating this team, and stepping up in the second half, which they did, isn't enough. You can't just step up in the second half. You can't allow 24 points and then expect this offense, whoever is on their helm, to lead you back. This is not a Drew Brees-led team. You need dominance, which is why they need to trade for a pass rusher. This is awful. You knew that the Minnesota Vikings were coming with heavy blitz package, and yet they weren't running naked boots. Hell, if there is any credit I give to Derek Carr threw a hell of a pass to get the ball to Chris Olave, taking the shot that takes him out the game. Carr's under pressure all day. Jameis Winston's under pressure all day. Nothing clearly being done from a coaching perspective, and I feel like we reached the original point, right? I feel like we reached the same place that we kind of always get with this team being middling, right? They're 5-5 now. They're going into the bye week, then they'll face Atlanta. And they are what they are. Now, yeah, buddy says 150 million reasons is the offensive problem once again. And see, that's just disingenuous. Like, there's nothing Derek Carr did today that cost this team a loss. What cost this team a loss is the damn defense, right? $150 million is a lot of money to us because we're poor. That's nothing in the NFL. It doesn't mean anything. 150 is nothing, right? They're not paying him top end money. I gotta make this clear because there's so many people still on this train. Get off the Derek Carr sucks train because I'm gonna get real big. $150 million for a quarterback in 2023 is nothing. It's chump change, okay? The New Orleans Saints do not believe in Derek Carr. They do not think he's the long-term option. If you want to get mad, be mad at DA and his defense. They do not believe that he's the option. Can we get off that train already? 2 months in, you bought a middling starting quarterback, okay? You bought a middling starting quarterback. He is the 13th paid guy by average. 13th. Who cares if he sucks? This goes on DA and the defense. We need to target our frustrations at DA. Why give him a contract that breaks the team's flexibility for multiple seasons if he's not good? It doesn't break the team's flexibility. It's like people didn't pay attention to the contract. It was a 2-year bridge quarterback contract. Did people not read the contract details? They did not hem themselves to Derek Carr and now can't do anything. Why are people? It's the national media. It's got to be. It's got to be. That's got to be what it is. It's the national media convincing everybody that the Saints are in cap hell. The Saints cap is fine. You bought a 2-year with a 3rd-year option, essentially, quarterback until you found a quarterback of the future. Okay, what's the big deal there? Like, what? How about we talk about Carl Granderson, Cameron Jordan, Brian Brzee, no sacks? How about we talk about Honey Badger, clearly past his prime? How about we talk about the adjustments from this team not happening until the second half? Why are we talking about that? Trey says Winston still play better. No, he didn't. His quarterback rating is like 30 points lower than Derek Carr, and Derek Carr didn't play good either. Like, if you combine both of them, maybe you get to Josh Dobbs. Like, no, Jameis Winston did not play better. Anybody watch the game? Jameis Winston was far more inaccurate. I love Jameis Winston. I want success for the man. But again, why are we concentrating on the offense when the defense was giving up 24 points? Like, why are we focusing on that? This is a team that's designed to win football games 24-21, right? 24-17. Right? It's the defense is got to be the main topic of discussion at some point, because you're also talking about this being the second oldest team in the NFL. The second oldest team in the NFL. It's clearly not there. It's clearly not there, y'all. This defense cannot play against the run or against the quarterbacks who can run. This defense clearly has no pass rush. And while the secondary is good, if you give guys time, they're going to find openings. Honey Badger clearly passes expiration date. Straight hate coming? No, it's just facts, guys. Guys, look, I know a lot of people love Jameis Winston, but if you think Jameis Winston is better than Derek Carr, I really don't know what to tell you. You've got multiple NFL teams, multiple NFL head coaches. There's not some grand conspiracy against Jameis Winston, right? I mean, most of the throws that Winston threw, he got lucky on because every quarterback coach in the NFL is going to tell you to not throw those. The A.T. Perry touchdown catch, yeah, every NFL coach says never make that throw. You're an idiot. That's so cool. If you like Jameis Winston, like him. But guess what? NFL teams aren't going to agree with you. That's just, and I'm happy you made it. Hell, I said it on Twitter. I loved the prayer. At this point, throw prayers. But to act like Winston's a better quarterback is just silly. How about just acknowledge the fact? You got two sucky quarterbacks right now. You don't have a good quarterback. Can we just say that? Because people get caught up on the money, which isn't our money anyway. It's not like we're spending it. They get caught up on, TDs, interceptions. How about just say that the Saints offense sucks? And that's my point, because the defense is what I'm mad at. I know the Saints offense sucks. I put it out enough film for y'all to see the Saints offense sucks. That's not a shock to me. I'm shocked that the defense sucks. That's what I want to talk about. Why can't we talk about the defense sucking? Because guess what? After this game, here's your fun defensive stat. Shout out to Demario Davis, who's playing well. Demario Davis now has 4 sacks. Demario Davis has more sacks than Cameron Jordan and Nate Shepard. Well, he has the same number of sacks as Cameron Jordan and Nate Shepard combined. He has more sacks than Cameron Jordan and Brian Brzee combined at linebacker. That is why I want to focus on the defensive side of the conversation. Because we should have known coming in the offense was not going to be a top 5, top 10 unit. But the defense was supposed to be. And this 27-19 score is misleading as heck because it was not that close. It was not. It was simply not close. Ken Terrell says that's Winston's game. His arm strength gave him a chance. That's exactly why he throws interceptions. Because he tries to force balls. And that's fine. That's his style. It's a gunslinger style. I like Jameis Winston. I've always supported him. But I also know that if you really are the New Orleans Saints trying to find a quarterback for the next 5 years, it ain't it ain't Drew Brees either. It ain't Derek Carr, and it ain't Jameis Winston. And the Saints don't believe it is. So you got to find a quarterback. The problem is, who are you going to find? Now, I get being critical on Dennis Allen because Dennis Allen went and got his guy, right? Like, even in the Carr thing, just ignore the Carr part. Dennis Allen is the focal point. If there's anybody that needs to have a fire under their butt, if there's anybody that needs to be getting looked at, it's Dennis Allen, right? I'm not mad at Derek Carr getting paid a middle-of-the-road contract to play quarterback. I'm not mad at Jameis Winston being the backup coming in, throwing 2 TDs and 2 interceptions. I'm mad that this team is designed around Dennis Allen and they are a losing team. That's what I'm mad about. Because it doesn't matter who your quarterback is. Because the only quarterback that could possibly make this offense better is a guy like Patrick Mahomes. That's it. Like, because the offensive system is borked with Pete Carmichael. But Dennis Allen wanted to get his guy, so you got him his guy. So if I'm Mickey Loomis, and specifically Miss Gail Benson, some hard conversations need to be happening right now. Because the Saints are 5-5, but they are a team that's good enough to beat bad teams and not good enough to beat good teams. Minnesota Vikings are a good team. Minnesota Vikings lose their starting quarterback, make a trade for a position that they need, like the Saints should have done, and are still winning football games. They beat Atlanta. They beat New Orleans. Hell, the Vikings are 6-4. The Vikings are threatening the Lions for their division, and everybody said the Lions were going to walk away with the NFC North. And I love the Lions. I actually want the Lions to win. They're currently winning 10-3. Right, go Detroit. But the point I'm making, it doesn't matter because right on their heels is a well-coached football team that's beating bad coached football teams. Arthur Smith, bad coached football team. Bad. Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen is the Jeff Fisher of freaking football coaches right now. Like, Dennis Allen is good enough to get you 7-8 wins in a season with good talent team. That's it. But you got to be able to win these games. And this is why after the Patriots game and why after the Bears games, I don't get too excited. Now, I was a little bit more excited about the offensive system following the Bears win. That clearly didn't translate. That's why I've never at this point gone, this team has peaked and looks good. They dominated some weak teams. And then when a tough team comes in, the defense folds. The offense is doing what the offense always does. Middle of the road. Like, they actually were running the ball really well early on. But again, where was Taysom Hill? Taysom not being used in this game really today. Taysom Hill is again forgotten about. That to me is on Pete Carmichael. The fact that you came into a game knowing that they weren't going to have Justin Jefferson. They were going to go to TJ Hawkinson, and they were going to run with the quarterback. And the Saints defensive system came out early on just saying, oh, really? That's what's going to happen? Where's the shock here? Again, my frustrations, I feel like every time somebody gets frustrated at Derek Carr, this is just my opinion. Y'all can have whatever opinion you want. I'm cool with it. I get to have my opinion because I got the podcast. But y'all can have your opinion. I just when I hear like the Derek Carr, the Jameis Winston, and even to an extent Chris Olave, that all those are misguided to me because at the end of the day, the problem is the coaching staff is the issue, right? And I've said it before. I don't like using Dennis Allen's previous coaching record as an indicator of where he's at now because it was 10 years ago. But with the New Orleans Saints, his current winning percentage is 44%. 2 years, 44% with a very good roster. I'll say exactly what I've said about Dennis Allen for a long time. Dennis Allen is an amazing defensive coordinator. He is not a good head coach. So those are why I am dismissive about the Derek Carr arguments. Why I'm dismissive about the Jameis Winston starting arguments. Because I'll be honest, I don't think it matters. I really don't. And here's the thing. I do think the Saints can beat Atlanta. I really do. I think the New Orleans Saints can come in, beat Atlanta the week after the bye week, and I still believe this team can win the division. But games like this, and I know that post-game reactions are post-game reactions. So maybe when I get a clearer head and I watch some tape, I change my mind. But truly, if you are hearing the sound of my voice, coaching's got to change. I'm just going to say it like that. The coaching staff, I don't care if you go 500. It needs to change. That's just my opinion. It needs to go in a new direction. You're the second oldest team in the NFL. And as much as I love a lot of the players, Honey Badger is not what Honey Badger was with Kansas City. Demario Davis is still playing well, but he's no longer the best linebacker in the NFL. I don't care what Pro Football Focus says. Cameron Jordan, clearly not what he was years ago. And Cameron Jordan was actually the one getting the most consistent pressure today. Cameron Jordan went through two phases in his life. Cameron Jordan, when he came into the league, was the king of the almost sack. And then he hit his stride and he started getting sacks. Now he's back to being the king of the almost sack. Like, he's getting consistent pressure. He's just not, right there to actually finish the play. He's lost some of that, right? And that's fine. He's been in the league 13 years. But it's not just him. It's other guys. This is an old team, right? Like, if you actually go take a look at the New Orleans Saints by age, and I know I'm going like through a rabbit hole here, This is, and again, I'm not advocating for a blow it up rebuild because I think those are failures. Taysom Hill's 33, Derek Carr is 32, Michael Thomas is 30, Keith Kirkwood on the team is 29, Winston's 29, Alvin Kamara is 28, which for a running back is old. Jamal Williams is 28, which for a running back is old. Tony Jones Jr., your backup, is 26. Your youngest player on offense, you have 3 players in the entire offense who have played this year who are 25 and under. 3. Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, Kendre Miller. That's it. That's the entire list. I guess you can throw A.T. Perry in because A.T. Perry did play today and get catches. Shout out to A.T. Perry. I do like A.T. Perry. I'm not just trying to take shots at players. I'm speaking that this team is old, and if you were going to make a push and prove that you were a good coach, Dennis Allen, you needed to do it now. Well, now it's clearly not happening, and it's only going to get worse because Demario Davis is 34. Cameron Jordan is 34. Honey Badger is 31, turning 32. James Hurst is 32. Lou Hedley, your rookie punter, is 30. This is the second oldest roster in the NFL. And again, I'm not a fan of blowing it up because I do think there are young pieces worth keeping. And I don't think that you just sacrifice it all. And I do think to a degree you keep Derek Carr maybe. And that includes Jameis Winston, by the way. I'm not trying to throw either one of these quarterbacks under the bus. But the coaching staff has got to change. Every time they've gone against good teams, they lose. And even if they make them look close. To me, this game was never close. I just, maybe as a Saints fan, y'all will understand. Do you ever have that gut feeling? I watched this game in the first quarter, gut feeling. My brain said, they're not winning. Don't worry about it. They're just not going to win. That's what my brain said. My brain said they're not winning. And it was right. I was right. They're not going to win. That's fine. It is what it is. So I leave this game. My impression is not, Derek Carr is conservative. My impression is not, Jameis Winston takes too many chances. That's why he throws interceptions. My impression is not, the defense. I mean, I do blame the defense for sucking today. But I really just look at this and I go, this is what a bad coaching staff looks like. Because on the opposite end of that, look at our opponent. And I'm not trying to say this in a disrespectful manner because they just beat you. The Vikings roster is not as good today as the Saints roster is. And yet they had control of this the entire time. And why is that? Because Kevin O'Connell is their head coach. Because Brian Flores is their defensive coordinator. Notice how that flips. Has anybody paid attention to that? We've talked about that a lot this year. Good offensive minds become head coaches. That's just where the league is. Kevin O'Connell is 38. He's a young, up-and-coming offensive coach, and then they went and got a really good defensive coordinator. I'm sorry. The Dennis Allen thing, look, DA, I know you want to be a head coach, and I think DA has grown as a coach. But you're not going to win with DA. It's not happening. I think this team needs a new coaching staff. If you could somehow convince DA to go back to being defensive coordinator, I'd be happy as a clam to make that happen. But you need somebody with a young offensive mind who's trying to actually make things happen. That's the difference between the New Orleans Saints and the Minnesota Vikings. That's why Josh Dobbs looks like a freaking all-star and Derek Carr and Jameis Winston looks like they're out there playing school ball, as in they're just trying to find things open. I have shown y'all so many screenshots, so many plays of wide receivers being stacked on top of each other. This team needs new coaching. Has our team quit on the coach staff? Now, I'll say this, Scott, I don't think so. This team has definitely not shown that to me, but I'm just saying what I feel. I don't feel like this is a good coach football team, and I don't feel like that these Saints should stick with it. I think you cut your losses on the coaching staff. You try to make do with what roster you have. And you build. You need to find a young offensive guy to come in and put some life in a modern offense because his defense is not going to get better next year without just drastic improvement. Pete Warner seems like he's taking a slight step back. You have a great secondary. You still need a lot of help at pass rush. Peyton Turner, not healthy. Isaiah Foskey, maybe he does something, but Cameron Jordan is in the twilight of his career. Demario Davis is in the twilight of his career. Your two safeties are in the twilight of their career, and you have one replacement safety, not two. I think that if you want the Saints to, be moving in a positive direction, I think you got to get an offensive coach in here. I think that really is what it comes down to. This is a offensive league. And when you listen to Alvin Kamara and a lot of his post games, he talked about how they want to be a matchup style team. Like they want to create matchups. They want to dominate on offense. I know he's an offensive player, so he's a little bit biased, but you cannot tell me that a Josh Dobbs led team that had Alexander Madison as their running back and that their best receiver is the tight end, and you knew it coming in. No disrespect to Jordan Addison, who is a rookie. You can't tell me the Saints offense haven't been or is not a talented group. Coaching. You need to have a great defensive mind in the building. You need a good DC. And Minnesota did that. They brought in Flores. They brought in a good defensive mind. I don't know if I'd say Flores is amazing, but I mean, he's a good defensive mind historically, right? He's part of the New England Patriots tree, and I know a lot of people are really sketchy on going after the New England Patriots tree. But anyway, that's my rant, man. That's my rant. By the way, Eric Bieniemy's already with somebody. So you're not getting Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy is in Washington. Eric Bieniemy, he was only going to just sit under Andy Reid for so long. Eric Bieniemy is the OC in Washington. So you're going to have to find somebody, though. And again, I still, and I say it truthfully, I don't personally give a dang about the Derek Carr, Jameis Winston conversation, because to me it's such a moot point. The defense lost you the game today, and the coaching staff is not good enough to overcome when the team is underperforming. And that Vikings coaching staff was good enough. To me, that's all that matters. You can hate Derek Carr. I really don't give a damn. Derek Carr is a middle, and I've said this for months and months. He's mid-tier. The only people that can elevate mid-tier players are high-end coaches. And New Orleans does not have high-end coaches, so they do not have the ability to elevate mid-tier players. Simple as that. They've got to change it up. Do want to give a shout out to Chris Olave for trying to put in some effort, man. I loved Chris Olave getting some targets. He had an amazing TD catch, and love Jameis Winston taking that shot in that back corner and giving Olave a shot. Then I hated the Olave kind of lack of effort. Deep fade routes, Olave is really not good at. And by the way, this is not an Olave shot because I'm giving Olave credit and negative. The credit to Olave comes in a contested situation in the end zone. I think he needs more shots like this. He fights for the ball. A negative about Olave that I've watched on film all season long is he really struggles with sideline fade routes because he does not know how to properly use the boundary itself. He does not know how to properly use the sideline. He does not know how to properly create leverage with that sideline against the defenders. And that's why he is never effective on those routes. I mean, you've got the one play going all the way back to the Tennessee Titans game where that amazing one-handed catch. But he really struggles on the boundary, and they've got to stop calling these fade shots just straight down the sidelines to Chris Olave. At some point, there's going to be nothing but pick sixes because teams understand that know that they can beat him from him. So he just doesn't have it. But I loved his catch in the end zone. I thought that was great. He did really, really well in finding some of the soft zones to try to help this team find some plays and try to claw their way back. I think he deserves to get a lot of credit. I wish they would have given Alvin Kamara more opportunities in the run game because clearly he looked much better with that outside zone in the first half, but they got down, so they got away from that. That kind of sucks that you lost that. Shout out to Lynn Bowden actually getting his first catch of the season. A.T. Perry dropping a big one was kind of critical, but it was good to see him in there getting some love. But, man, no Taysom today. Shocker that has an effect, man. No Taysom. And look, I've said this for years. I don't think Taysom Hill's a good every down quarterback. At this point, it doesn't matter, man. Just find a way to get something going offensively. But truthfully, I'm giving some laurels and some flowers to the offense for trying to stick it out. But the defense gets nothing but vitriol and hate and upsetness from me. I love Demario Davis, dude. You keep doing what you're doing, but Honey Badger, dude, you can't cover anybody one-on-one anymore. They've got to stop doing that. Please stop putting Honey Badger down on the line and asking him to cover the number 2 in the slot. And when I say number 2, I'm talking about a defensive assignment. So you could have a number 2 that has to push vertical, which means you have to cover mesh concepts, etc. Stop putting Honey Badger in the freaking slot covering tight ends. Leave that man in the back to where he does not have that responsibility. Stop treating him as a strong safety that has to come up and defend slot receivers and tight ends. He is getting absolutely freaking mauled and destroyed. You're putting yourself in a bad position. I'm not trying to be mean. The man is he's a NOLA boy. I'm not trying to be a hater. He's just past his prime. Stop putting him in positions, getting this man wrecked. He is giving up. FYI, for those that don't know, he's given up 4 touchdowns and over 100 quarterback rating when targeted this year. Teams have figured him out. You can still use him as a free safety, though. He can still float very well in the deep end of the field. He can still buzz down as a cover 3 buzz safety. There are things that he still does well. He can no longer keep up with a guy like Addison at the line of scrimmage. And it's either move him to center field or move him off the field. But he's officially a liability on defense. You want to know who's given up the most touchdown passes on this team? Honey Badger. If you took every corner who has played a snap, all of them, every corner who has played a snap have given up less TDs than Honey Badger. Again, I'm not just trying to hate him. I'm saying that you can't put him in these positions that they're trying to target him. When you put him in those positions, it becomes an alert. If you ever heard that term before, when you come up on the offensive line as a team, you're going to have certain routes. You're going to yell, alert, 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 which means that there's a certain hot route that you want to freaking focus on. And guess what? At this point, Honey Badger is the damn alert. And if he's lined up over the slot and press on freaking Addison or Hawkinson, guess what? He's the alert. You've got to find a way to take advantage of what he still does well, which is operate in space. Honey Badger does operate in space pretty well. I honestly think he does. But that elite playmaking speed is gone. And just to put it, really drive the nail home, man. I know I shouldn't be like this. I really shouldn't. Dude, Pete Warner has a better passer rating against than Honey Badger right now. Pete Warner, a white linebacker. Yeah, I said it. You got to do something. Play to your team's strength. You said that you had a pass rush. I was very adamant this team needed to go get somebody from the pass rush. You needed somebody. But Zach Bone and Pete Warner are better at covering linebackers right now than Honey Badger is. So Taysom Hill only had 1 rush. That's not okay. Oh, 100%, right? The reason I'm focusing so much on the defense is because the defense, to me, is what wins or loses these games. And that's just because anybody that follows the show, One Bright Mind. Look, I say white linebacker, but if y'all go back, here's you some Saints history. 2016, the New Orleans Saints starting linebacker core all look like me. It was Mark Semino, Scott Shanley, and Scott Fujita. You had 2 dudes named Scott. Crazy times we're living in. Crazy times we're living in. And I'm trying to put some jokes in there so that we can have a little bit of levity in what has been a really rough day. But shit, man, you had 2 guys named Scott and a guy named Mark were your starting linebackers. And I want the Saints to be a winning team, but the defense can't win how they're playing today. Atlanta's winning 14-6. If Atlanta wins, they take the lead in the division. And the Saints defense simply has got to find a way to adjust. You had to have known coming into this game that TJ Hawkinson and Josh Dobbs were the answer, right? You had to. That's what they were going to do. They were going to run. So you had to mush rush. You had to do short zones. You had to QB spy. And then you had to bracket that tight end. And I'll be honest, if you would have got beat one-on-one deep coverage by people like Addison, so be it. Do it. Kill me with it. I would have much rather lost this game giving up deep shot after deep shot to guys like Addison than losing on 10, 15-yard plays to the tight end all day long. Bracket the damn tight end and put your guys on islands on the outside and just make it happen. But that also doesn't change. Like, people like to bring up that Derek Carr is averaging less than 1 TD pass a game. You're right. Guess what? Saints defense, or I'm sorry, averaging less than 2, I think. Saints defense is averaging less than 2 sacks a game right now. The Saints defense is currently on its own pace to be the worst defense in terms of sacks in about a decade. And this is a team that we're talking about being we talked about being a top 10 unit. How bad sack rate are they? Well, I'm going to give you some numbers. I'm actually going to look it up live on stream. The 2016 New Orleans Saints, which went 7-9, by the way, that was Dennis Allen's first year with complete control of the defense, had 30 sacks. So 2016, you had 30 sacks as a team. That's it. This year's New Orleans Saints, which have now played 10 games. 10 games. 10, count them 10, have 18 sacks. So again, do I agree with everybody who shouts, the offense sucks? Yep. But you know why I'm some more critical on the defense? Because I got a defensive head coach who swears up and down that we can win that way. And ain't nobody winning today in a black and gold jersey. You know who I feel real bad for? My boy Jono. And yeah, I call him Jono on purpose. Shout out Jono. This shit more than a game. That man took him and his wife all the way up to Minnesota. Spent thousands of dollars. Man, if I was his wife coming home, I'd be spending $1,000 on a damn divorce. That's some bullshit. Imagine taking your spouse to a Minnesota football game with this New Orleans Saints team. You got to be out your goddamn mind. The only thing in New Orleans worth going to right now is Comic-Con in January. First week of January, Comic-Con's there. That's going to be a hell of a lot more entertaining than Saints football if they can't change what they're doing right now. I'm venting. I'm getting off a little steam, and I hope y'all are doing the same thing. I really am. The offense had 4 chances to score and kept going 3 and out and throwing picks. What do you want the defense to do? Not give up 24 points and a half. Let's stop playing games and putting this on the offense. Let's stop that. Okay? Let's quit. That's not accurate, right? Because do we want to talk about the drives that Minnesota had and how long they went? Do we want to talk about how Minnesota had 3 straight drives where they went 70, 77, and 81 yards? Because that's not the offense going 3 and out, by the way. And even if you want to argue it is, they still punted, and then they made the Minnesota Vikings traveled the entire frickin' field. That's why. Do I agree the Saints, it's like people aren't hearing me. Do I agree the Saints offense sucks? Yes. But I also knew the Saints offense was going to suck. Your best, like your top hope for the Saints offense was going to be like top 15, maybe look at top 10. That was the best hope for this offense. The defense should not be giving up 70, 77, and then 81 yards and 3 TDs. That's why. Are you wrong about the offense going 3 and out? No. But who's supposed to be good on this damn team? Please tell me. Point to which side of the ball that we talk about being elite. Because if anybody, any Saints podcast ever said that this offense was going to be elite with Derek Carr leading the way, unsubscribe. Because it wasn't this one. No offense to if one actually did. If anybody fooled you, behooled you, bewinked you, hoodwinked you, run amok around your brain and told you that the New Orleans Saints offense was going to somehow be elite with Derek Carr, unsubscribe. Because he's a mid-tier quarterback getting paid mid-tier money. And if Pete Carmichael became a great offensive play caller, you would have been fine. Been okay. But the defense is supposed to be top 5. So that's why, yeah, I will come over here and say, yeah, that offense did go 3 plays, 9 yards, done. And then I don't count the one at the end of the half because it's the end of the half, right? So they did have a 3 and out and a 3 and out in the second. But they also went 7 plays, 28 yards, punt, 10 plays, 56 yards, field goal. Then they had your 2 and outs. Then you had the injury happen. My issue on your screen is on the right side. 63 yards first drive. Second drive, made some adjustments, seemed to do pretty well. Then 70, 77, 81. Also, first 5 touches for the Minnesota Vikings. First 6 touches for the Minnesota Vikings. 5 scores. And they would have had another had they not missed a field goal a couple runs later. That's why my frustrations are over on the defensive side. The offense, here's another way for me to describe it. Your uncle's been building his Monte Carlo to go on the track for years. You love his Monte Carlo. You love the SS tags on it. You love the way it goes. You love that crank to go. You love it. You've been building it up. And then you're not as well off as your uncle. You're a little bit younger. So you got a 2000 Honda S2000, right? You both take them to the track. Your Honda S2000, surprisingly, doesn't run under 14 seconds. You know, it goes down the track. You had fun, but it's exactly what you expected. Now here comes Uncle's Monte Carlo. That's the Saints defense, by the way. And then as soon as they press the gas, fucking crankshaft falls out the bottom. That's what this defense is doing today. I forgot the button. I'm so sorry for all the kids listening. And your uncle's Monte Carlo has now bled oil all over the damn track. That's why I'm not as upset at the offense, because the offense is just a little Honda S2000. It's the built Monte Carlo that's supposed to take you to the playoffs that let Josh Dobbs, no Kirk Cousins, no Justin Jefferson. They got rid of Dalvin Cook, and we're like, what the hell are they doing? And they went 63 yards, 70 yards, 77 yards, 81 yards. That's why I'm sitting here going, I don't give a damn about what Jameis Winston and Derek Carr did. What is this defense? Because that warble has just become whiny. That's what we got right now. Oil all over the track. And I'm sitting here trying to clean it up with a mop. Some of y'all still aren't going to get that car reference. I'm about to figure out something else. Can y'all understand? Like, do y'all get where I'm coming from, though? Like, I'm not arguing that Derek Carr is good. I'm arguing that Derek Carr is mid. I'm arguing the defense was supposed to be elite. And this isn't elite. Like, when the first 6 touches an opposing offense has, they score 5 times. That is not elite. Yeah, buddy says, yeah, Carr shouldn't have to score. Just leave it to the defense to outscore the offense. Nobody is saying that. Like, there is a concept called mutual exclusivity. And we've talked about this before. I've talked about it ad nauseum, honestly. Just because the defense is my focus point doesn't mean we're giving passes to the offense. Because for a month straight, the offensive system with Derek Carr had gotten better, right? It did. And look, don't be mad at me. Freaking Drew Brees and Chase Daniels just put out a film study talking about Derek Carr doing well, okay? So be mad at everybody, apparently. Be mad at everybody who talks football. The only person who's been extra critical, and I'll give him his flowers, of Derek Carr, JT O'Sullivan. And then when JT O'Sullivan makes a good point, people get mad at him and talk about how he had, a horrible NFL career. Dude was in the NFL. It's all about expectations. I didn't come in with the expectations of Derek Carr throwing 40 TDs. I really didn't. Like, I honestly expected Derek Carr to throw about 26, 28, maybe 30 touchdowns, which means I expected him to throw less than 2 touchdowns a game. Like, I expected that. Like, I'm not shocked. So that doesn't bother me. I am shocked that the Saints defense isn't going to get 50 sacks. I'm shocked that the Saints defense is giving up 400 yards. I never thought in a bagillion years, and that's a real fake number, that Derek Carr was going to lead us to the promised land. Not a damn one time. Go back to our prediction episodes where we talked about it. We actually still have it in our Discord, where y'all can predict what people thought Derek Carr would do in this offense. I'm going to pull it up right now because we're having this conversation. And I think it's a good conversation. We're all venting right now. We're all Saints fans who are upset. Here are what Saints fans said. I'm on Florida Loading said 32 TDs, 12 interceptions, 4,100 yards. Wow. TJ said 26 TDs, 12 interceptions, 4,000 yards. 007 said 27 TDs, 15 interceptions, 3,300 yards. Cape said 31 TDs, 11 interceptions, 4,400. Damn, Cape. Let's see. Zavron said 32 and 12. Let's see what else we got. Houdat said 35 and 10. Barb said 32 and 14. 37. Oh man, some of y'all got really generous. But the early ones were pretty clear that nobody was expecting him to go crazy. That's why I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked that Derek Carr is not throwing 3 TDs a game. But I am shocked that the Saints defense has 18 sacks in 10 games. I am appalled. You know why? Because this defense is supposed to be elite. It's all about expectations. Debo says, Deuce, I ain't never seen you like this. Them pop meat flavored Pop-Tart eating motherfuckers got me too hot though. Can't believe we can't stop Josh Dobbs. Again, nobody is just, somebody clip me saying this and post it every time he's called up. Nobody's giving Derek Carr a pass. I just don't expect greatness from Derek Carr. I expect greatness from this defense. And you did not get that today. Because greatness is not allowing 5 scoring drives the first 6 times an offense touches the ball. And I'm just going to be brutally honest. I really don't give a damn that the next 6 possessions were 5 punts. Here's why I don't give a damn. Because the offense isn't good enough for you to give up 5 scoring drives in the first 6 touches. They are not good enough. Say Derek Carr is not good enough. Would that make you feel better? Say it. Type it in my chat. I'll say it with you. Derek Carr is not good enough. Here, let's do another one. It's a fun game we're playing. Pete Carmichael is not good enough. You want to keep going? I can keep going. James Hurst is not good enough. Andres Pete versus Daniil Hunter is not good enough. Would you like to continue the conversation? That's why I'm mad at the defense. Because when the defense gives up 5 scoring drives in the first 6, none of that matters, right? The offense ain't coming back. It's just not. Yeah, but it says Derek isn't worth 150. League says he is, right? Do I think these people are all worth that money? No, but I've never seen $1 million in my damn life. Yo, I grew up poor. I grew up with roaches. Now, I didn't grow up like my boy Elias eating mac and cheese with tuna fish in it, but I still grew up poor. I ain't seen $1 million in my life. The most money I've ever seen in my entire life is when I bought my house and I had to put a down payment on it, and all I did is watch that money just slide across the table, and I didn't even get to touch it, and it was a check. I should have cashed the damn check first and at least played with a little bit like I'm a low-end rapper. But nope, didn't even do that. I don't give a damn if guys 150 because that's just what teams pay, right? Patrick Mahomes got $500 million. I mean, that's just the contract. I don't give a damn. It doesn't matter to me that he got a contract that high. What matters to me is, do they believe that he's the long-term answer? And I don't think they do. Now, if y'all want to have the argument of, could we do just as well with Jameis Winston? Y'all can have that argument if you want to. Do it. I don't think it doesn't matter. You could start anybody right now. If the defense gives up 5 scoring drives in the first 6, it doesn't matter who you have a quarterback. Put Alvin Kamara there. Why not? Elias didn't catch it straight. Elias legit loves his mac and cheese and freaking tuna fish. That's weird as hell to me, but he loves it. More power to him. Ain't no strays. That man loves his tuna fish mac. Disgusting. I ate it one night on stream. That was a horrible experience. I like what Bodino says. The facts is we're in week 10 and the Saints offense still looking like they're a reflection of poor coaching because it's not clicking. It's up for coaches to fix the issue. There you go. There it is. Because I'll say this with confidence. I will say it with my chest. And this applies universally. So if you are one of those people who because look, I've learned this season that people have agendas. Like there are people who hate Derek Carr just for the sake of hating Derek Carr. I've learned that there are certain people who hate Jameis Winston just for the sake of hating Jameis Winston. So I'm not even putting a name out there. I'm just going to say this with my chest. This offense would be better with a better play caller. Insert whoever you want to put in at starter. And when you're playing on Madden and you go ahead and dump Derek Carr and start Jameis Winston, I don't give a damn if that's what you do. But what I'm telling you is that if you had a Slowick who's with the Houston Texans, yeah, it would be better. If you had Kevin O'Donnell, who's currently with the Minnesota Vikings with a 6-4 record, yeah, this offense would be better. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is because offensive coaching matters, and the coaching is a problem in New Orleans, and the coaching needs to change, and that includes DA, that includes Pete Carmichael, and the only way that DA sticks around for me at this point is if you somehow convince that man to go back to defensive coordinator. Somehow, some way. Somehow, some way. Alpha says, let's be honest, some players seem to play all out for Winston, but not for Carr. I'll be honest, absolutely not accurate at all. Ask someone who has literally talked to said players. Nope. That's a fan-driven thing. This team believes, for whatever, right or wrong, players believe in Derek Carr. And honestly, right or wrong, they really like Jameis Winston. Like, Jameis is loved in the locker room. That animosity, that's all on the outside. That's all here on the podcast and on the Twitter and on the Facebook. That's not in the locker room. Right? That actually doesn't exist. But what I will say does exist is a bad coaching staff on a football team that needs wins. But anyway, this has been my rant, and I appreciate y'all letting me get my thoughts off. And what we'll do is we'll go through the film. I do want to say something real quick. We got 200 people watching. Every Christmas, one thing that I try to do is we give away Pokemon cards to kids because I grew up poor, didn't have the opportunity to do a lot of that. If you are interested in Pokemon cards for your kids, all I ask is that you pay for the shipping box, which is $25. I send a couple of decks and several hundred cards out to kids. If you'd like to contribute to that, hit me up on Discord or on Twitter, and I'm glad to send out cards that you can give them to your kids on Christmas. Alpha says, so you didn't see Olave run out routes for James, but not for Carr. Alpha, having literally watched and put on tape on this channel of Olave for weeks, he did not do anything unique for Winston that he did not do for Derek Carr. He did not. What about Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Don't have them. So if you want to give Pokemon cards out to the kids, all you gotta do, hit me up, pay for the flat rate shipping box. It's about $25. I'm sending decks and hundreds of cards out to give kids something that I didn't get to have growing up. If you're interested in that, hell, I've got probably about 80 of them just sitting right here in front of me that we're sending out. And if y'all are interested in that, hit me up on Discord. Want to try to give back for Christmas. That's a real big thing for me, is giving back to the kids, because I grew up as an underprivileged kid, so I want them to be able to have some fun that maybe they don't get to have. If you're interested in helping with that, again, just hit me up, and you pay for the box. We'll send your kid, your niece, your nephew, whatever, several hundred Pokemon cards, and just let them have fun. And we'll be back here Tuesday. We'll have some film study hopefully out tomorrow. I'm not looking forward to watching, but is what it is. Who dat? God bless. I appreciate y'all. Deuces. That's me. Catch you on the next one. We outie.